Hey everyone, welcome to week two. Hopefully you're still with us. If you're watching this, I'm guessing you still are. As you can tell, I'm still in my office. It's a nice rainy day here in Corvallis, and we'll be talking today a little bit about some of the things you'll need to know to get through week two. So maybe first up, you just went through a week in which there were just a couple discussion board posts and things stayed on a kind of general level about sustainability. And I like that. I like this thing we're going to keep on a general level, and you can choose your own approach to the particular topic. So, moving from that slightly introduction that we had last week to something a little bit more specific, we're going to do a couple of things this week that are a little bit more directed towards that first assignment. So, hopefully, you've gotten a chance to take a look at that first assignment and see what it's asking you to do. The first thing we're up to this week is there's another discussion board post. Normally we'll just have one a week. There's 12 throughout the term, so really it's about one a week. There's a couple of weeks in which there's two. There's really only going to be one more week in which there's another one showing up. And this discussion board is going to ask you to do a reading from one of the two textbooks, so the two PDFs that we're using as textbooks for this class. And the reading is about invention. And really what invention is if you go back to like 400 BC in rhetoric, there's this thing called the canons of rhetoric, right? So if you're talking about ancient Roman rhetoric, they think of the idea to come up with things to write about, the things to talk about, to be persuasive as having like five key elements, right? Invention, arrangement, style, memory, and delivery. And invention is coming up with things to write about, right? You have to have an idea about where you want to go to find sources to come up with concepts. It's basically inventing ideas. So before you can get to the arrangement, style, or delivery parts of things, you need to have those ideas. So that's what we're working on first up. I'm going to prompt you to think about what invention might mean for this project and where you might go for some sources, right? And that's really that first part. So that's the discussion board post for this week. The other portion to that is the idea planner, and that's a mini assignment. So we've got three major papers, and we've got a bunch of little discussion board posts, which are really light in terms of writing. And then we've got these sort of mini assignments, and they might not be all that much longer than some of the discussion board posts, but they're a little bit more formal. So this first idea planner assignment is going to ask you for, okay, what is the context in which you want to talk about sustainability? Have you found a good definition for sustainability? And if you haven't yet, now is the time to do some of that research and to figure out how, in the context that I've chosen, are people talking about sustainability? Is there a good definition out there for it? It may be developed, let's say if you were talking about an industry practice, it may be developed by an industry organization. If you're talking about a hobby you have, it might be a large-scale club or membership that has looked into sustainability. So there's going to be lots of different places where you can possibly look for that definition, but this assignment is going to prompt you to do that. You might also do a little bit in terms of talking about the ongoing issues or current practices with sustainability. So what I'm going to ask you for is a couple of those. Basically, the things that you're going to write about very shortly in this first essay. And then finally, any links to sources that you've already used, that you already looked at, but haven't used yet in the paper, but very well could. You don't have to. These are ones in which you could use if you so desire. Now, papers turn out in all sorts of different ways, and we're just in the starting place for this paper, so you don't have to. This is your best guess. This is not a promise that you're going to use these particular sources. And then any questions for me, anything that I can particularly answer. And I'll give you feedback on those questions, and I'll give you feedback on some other things too. Basically, what I'm seeing in your idea planner as good ideas that I think are that I want to emphasize, or maybe places where I'm like, I think you can find another place for a particular resource, or dig a little deeper in certain places. So it's my best advice at this point in the process. Another note about that, and I do mention it in the idea planner too, but discussion board posts are easy for you to turn in. You just write the discussion board posts, and I see them. For these, you'll have to turn in a document. If you haven't had an eCampus class before that's used Canvas much, you may not have had to do this, but you need to save a document. So if you're writing in Google Docs, or if you're writing in the online version of Word, you're going to have to go to File, Save As. You're going to have to download a stable document that you can open from a bunch of different places, and then upload and put into Canvas where I can then see it. If you have any questions about that, I'm more than happy to answer them. But the thing you can't do is send me a link, just because it all has to be through Canvas, and then I have to be able to see it all through Canvas too. I think that's most of what we're up to this week. You can kind of tell we're building a little bit slowly into this first assignment. That's intentional. That's so that you're not overburdened with too much to do at first, because things will pick up. Once we kick into weeks 5, 6, and 7, and then 8, 9, and 10, those assignments go a little bit faster. But this first one's taking a steady state approach to making our way through that first project. And also because it's our first look into sustainability, and I'm not expecting you to have specific references for that. On that topic too, if the sustainability reader isn't enough for you and you want a little bit more, there's a resources page that's hanging out that has just some links to other topics about sustainability. Some of them are links that are OSU specific, some of them are region specific, and some of them are national. So if you're like, I don't quite get this yet, there's more places to go. Even beyond that Wikipedia page we looked at first, even that's a pretty good Wikipedia page, fairly comprehensive. There's more stuff that you can kind of look at. I'm also happy to answer questions that you might have. If you're just like, hey, I don't know if this is a great place to go for this particular topic, send me an email. You can just send me an email. You can write Dear Aaron and then let me know what your questions are, and then I'm happy to write back to you. We haven't really talked about email protocol too much, but I'm happy to answer all sorts of email. I usually get to them within 24 hours. Don't email me right before something's due, because it's, what if I can't get to it? I mean, I've got a life outside of school too, so I do other things. And if you're asking for advice on a paper, the one thing I don't do, and you'll see other writing teachers do this too, is don't send me what do you think and then a full paper, because I'm just going to be grading it again in a short amount of time, and that's a different kind of process. If you have specific questions, however, I'm more than happy to answer them. If you say, I don't know how I'm using sources, especially in page 1, please look at paragraphs 2 and 3, I have some real questions, and then ask that question, I'm absolutely 100% able to answer those questions for you. I just try to avoid the situation where a student asks me something very general, and then I would say something pretty general in return. I don't think that's the most effective way to get feedback on your papers as they're in progress. And I think that's what a lot of teachers would say too. So, hopefully we should be good for this week. Looking forward to reading more about your ideas in the Idea Planner, and giving you credit for the discussion board posts. I'll see you soon.